Fernando is doing a basic sound treatment on this door. The customer has supplied the sound treatment for us. What are we using?
Second Skin.
What do you think? Do you like it?
This is really rough to work on. Not a fan.
Sorry guys. Anyways, what we're going to be doing on this is what we call a basic plus, which is concentrating all our energy on this aspect of the door panel here. It's not a full baked potato. With this level of speaker that we're using, nice Oro. We don't need to go super crazy. Just hit the points like this area here where this, you know, might rattle. We'll put the vapor barrier back on and everything will be good here. For this install, we're going to be using the Maximal Ultra 602's 6.5-inch two-way component system. Inside the box, get a cool Morel sticker and the instruction manual. It comes with grills, 2 passive crossovers. These are pretty small, kind of like that. They're not going to take up a lot of room. Now, we won't be needing these in this installation because we are going to be going full active front. Bag of screws, bag of insulated connectors, some goo to hold the grills together once you put those on so the grills don't fall off. The back mounting brackets for the tweeter cup, the mid base itself. These have a 180 watts peak, 90 watts RMS, 4 ohms, sensitivity is 90.5. You also get 2 of the speaker cups, as well as the tweeters come pre-mounted in the angle mount. These are unique, so like this could mount onto a panel, sit in the corner of the dash like so and aim them at you. This piece here obviously comes off, and then the tweeter snaps out, the grill comes off, and you get down to that nice Morel tweeter with that cool little Y top that most of them have. For the rear doors, we're going to be doing the Maximal Ultra 602 coaxials, 6.5-inch coaxial system. Same as before, you get grills in the box with the instruction manual and a set of stickers, bag of screws, insulated terminals, goo for the grills, and then the coaxials themselves. These have 160 watts, 90 watts RMS, 4 ohm, 91 dB of efficiency. This is it here. When compared to the front door speaker, they are very similar. What's in the front door is this goofy 6x9 looking speaker. This is going to come out. We're going to be using the brackets from Metra 825607s. That is this same shape as the factory to a 6.5. Now you'll notice it has these tabs here. It'll also fit a 5 1/4. This is just something they do on all their grills, so you are going to have to break these out, which is simple enough. Grab some duck bills, pull forward on them, and they will come right off. Apply some foam to this layer here and also to the back so that you don't get any rattle. Mount these into the door. 6.5 will go in there like so, and this will be in the front doors, replacing this. For optimum sound quality, the Roadkill fast strings. This is a 3-part system that is designed to improve the way the speaker sounds. So you see it has 3 pieces of foam here, different layers. This layer is designed to go into the back of the door panel. This next layer is designed to go onto the back of the speaker. That means it's going to sit just like this on the back side of the bracket here. And that is going to force all that energy into this plug. But the most important part of all of this is this guy right here. This is the front piece. It's going to go over the speaker here, and this is going to sit on the front of the speaker. It's going to look something like this. What that's going to do is that's going to marriage up with the door panel. You do have to trim these in some cases. Don't leave them this long, because what happens is you can see when they squish down, they bend, and when they bend, they can crush the surround of the speaker and actually do more harm than good. So you're going to test fit them, make sure that the door panel mounts nice. This is the fastering from the factory. As you see, it has this, so for all of you going, it's just foam. No, the factory has it built in. It's the same foam. It's actually the same exact foam. And as you can see, the reason why you're going to need it is this is deeper than this. We have to make up that difference, and also we want to make sure that just like the factory, our speaker marriages up to the door panel. Why we want to do that is to make sure that this sound wave coming off of the back of the speaker doesn't interfere with this sound wave coming off of the front of the speaker, because this is the opposite of this. And when you have 2 signals that are opposite, they cancel each other out. So when you just run this in the door, that back wave can get around front and add cancellation. Also, when this goes into the door, sound is going to go everywhere, all around here. And without this to focus that energy forward, forward, you're going to be losing some of that sound off into the door panel. It'll cause rattles, you'll lose mid bass. It's weird, but trust me when I say this, these really work. And if they didn't, then why would the factory do it? They're trying to get as much bass out of this cheap speaker as possible, and by just adding this little cheap piece of foam around here, it's actually doing it for them. Manufacturers have been using it for years, but for some reason in our industry, aftermarket wise, selling this, people, I don't need it. You're silly for not doing it. Tisk tisk, shame on you. For the rear doors, it's not a 6x9, it's a 6.5, and the brackets we'll be using is the 825605. And just like the front door speaker, it's not a normal shape. Looking at it from the back side here, you can see it has this weird notch here, this little bump here, another weird notch here. It also has these brackets in there that you'll have to break out. But this is the exact same shape of the rear door speaker, so this will allow us to go back in, maintain those 3 screws, put our door speaker in, add our fastenings, of course. We'll get as much mid bass as humanly possible out of our aftermarket speaker. After a little bit of time, Fernando has finished our basic sound treatment onto the door. You can see the plug mounted back there with the room to clear the window. Make sure when you're doing this, you make enough room to clear the window. And then on the back of the speaker, we have the rear part all set and ready to go. Screw it in place. The last step will be putting the front fastening on. He's put a notch in it to clear where the wire plugs in. Take your time, stretch it around the outside of the bracket. You want to do that so that if you have to remove the speaker for any reason, you're not wasting the fastening. When these first came out, people were sticking them on top of the speaker, and if they had to change the speaker, you just destroyed your expensive fastening. Rollover that we were talking about is this. So if this pinches up like that, the next step is to put the door panel on, look underneath, and figure out where you have to trim this, because this is going to have to be trimmed. There's no reason it has to stay this thick. Remember, when looking at the factory speaker, it's shorter. Probably going to have to remove maybe a 1/2 inch off of the front of this.
So you can see it right there.
Now to figure out and make sure, you want to take a super bright light and you can see into the grill. Sometimes you can look up through here and see. You can crawl underneath and look up, but you have to check it to make sure you get this part right. It's a good way to destroy and ruin a beautiful set of speakers, and we've seen it done.
Yeah, so we're gonna cut it.
Make sure you have a sharp blade. You don't want to jag it all up. Remove the 1/2 inch that needs to be removed on it slowly as to not cut the speaker. Don't, breathe, man, breathe. With it done, it's time to get the door panel back on and wrap this side up, and then you get to move on to the other 3 doors.
Yay!
Similar to the front door, we did what we call our basic treatment here, and that we're just focusing around just the speaker itself. We've put pieces in the back because we put the fastenings on. At one point, he may decide to go and do a full baked potato, and we don't want to waste the fastening. So with that, we can get the speaker mounted in place, get the front fastening on, and you're going to repeat the same process. You're going to test fit it and make sure. You can always use the factory speaker as a guide to figure out how deep that needs to be. Cut it up and get her done. That's 2.
Done.
2 more to go.
Yay!
For adding the components into the car and going full active, we have to do a little bit of wiring. The factory, this 6x9 and this tweeter are on the same wire. In the kick here, there's a Y where it goes off into the door and then up into the dash. Because we're going to be using an active crossover, even if we were going to be using a passive crossover, we need to split those 2 wires. To do that, we're going to be running new wires into the tweeter because it is the easier of the 2 to do. What we would do if we needed to do something like that is we just go to that kick where the Y is. We would run our wires to that point, to the wire that goes into the door, and of course run a new wire up to the tweeter. Most of the time in these F150s, we're always running new wires for the tweeters. We run them into the center here behind the radio, which is where all our wiring comes from the amplifier. That's so that we can connect into that T-harness that we have, both for the signal output to the amplifier and the output of the amplifier back into the factory wiring. But we need to get this A-pillar off in order to do that. We also need to get it off so that we can take it over to the bench and figure out how we're going to mount the tweeter. To do that, you need a 10mm socket. There's 2 bolts behind the clips that just clip off, and it comes right out. Let's take this over to the bench and we'll take a closer look at this factory tweeter. On the back side of the A-pillar, there's 2 Phillips screws When you pull those off, you get access to the tweeter itself. It mounts with this shape here. What we have to put into it though is a considerably bigger tweeter. It's not that much bigger, but it's definitely bigger. And in the box, they don't give you any mounts for it. Now the one nice thing is that because it does have this bridge here over the tweeter, we don't have to worry about the dome being exposed to this grill. I like to run these commando style with no grill on them because I don't want a grill and then another grill, because all those little holes might cover each other and it could reduce the amount of volume coming out of the tweeter into the car. Shy of cutting a big hole in here, which would look ugly, we need to be able to mount it behind here but yet still get as much sound passed through that factory grill as possible. We have to do a little design work and get this piece cut in order to fit this tweeter. To do that, we are going to be using a laser. To design this tweeter, we've done plenty of F150s. I'm going to check to see if we've ever done one for Morel, and if not, I'll just grab the basic file we have and we'll modify it to fit this tweeter. We have done a lot of F150 tweeter mounts, and what we want to check to see is if we've done one for Morel before, which, looking at this, we have. We'll open that file. What I want to check is the diameters to see if this is the right size. It looks like this was a 3-piece set that we built. Very close to what we're going to need. Now, if I remember right, the last time I did this, on the Morels, they have 3 little spots. And I don't think I took these into consideration last time, and I had to go in and put those in after the fact, which on this drawing here, they'd go here and here. So I want to add those in, fix that. Alright, let's take a look at these. The 3 pieces. The one with the smaller hole goes onto the front of the speaker like this. The one with the bigger hole comes around to the back side of it. And then the one that we modified with the 2 extra holes is going to be glued to that, and that'll be the back piece. Once these 2 screws go in, it'll hold the tweeter. It sandwiches in between and we'll screw it into place. That way if we ever need to service it, it just unscrew 2 screws and it all comes apart. To get this paper off of here, believe it or not, the best thing to use for acrylic to not scratch it is to use another piece of acrylic. Grab the pieces that we need to glue together and put them in place. This longer area is where the wire runs. We want the wire to run down. That means we want these 2 to line up like something like this. What I like to do to get them to hold in place is take some blue tape and just blue tape them together. Blue tape is thin enough to where you can see the seam, and make sure you get it all lined up nice and tight. Grab our acrylic glue. This is very fast set. It evaporates, so there's no point in filling the container up. I just squeeze the bottle down, stick it into the glue, and it will suck up enough glue to do what I want. Roll it around the corners. This is very fast, so we just have to hold it for like a minute. It does take like 5 or 10 minutes to set up perfectly and be nice and rigid. If you're gonna be gentle with it to do a final test fitting, that'll work perfect. Yeah, right? Pretty cool. With all the pieces glued together, we added some foam into it here to make it marriage up with this. Just like when you're adding foam to the doors and you're checking that area, do the same thing. I have this really bright light right here, and I'm looking in there to make sure none of my foam has rolled over and gotten in the way of the tweeter. I'm gonna pass this over to Fernando. He'll finish taping this up, getting his ends on it, and running the wire into the dash.